What is up, YouTube? We are back at it again. It is way too sunny and way too bright out. It's been storming all day, absolutely downpouring, but now the sun came out. We have an empty driveway-ish. I got the van sitting here per usual. Volvo's good. I just got an alignment done on that. That thing's got to go down to Kentucky because we need to take a safe, practical car. My brother's wedding coming up. The Falcon is still at the shop. I have a video made, should be coming out, on doing the exhaust and the cross member. Took it on the maiden voyage to the shop. Had no issues whatsoever on that one, other than the fact that the rear end is bouncing around like absolute crazy. Super stiff. I figured out why in the course of doing the exhaust. So in the exhaust, I think I touch on that. I don't even remember. It's been so long. It's been 2 days, but a lot of footage. So the exhaust video is way longer than I usually like them to be. No, the drive to the shop video is too long. The exhaust video is not too terrible. Lots of things happening. First maiden voyage video. Some dash cam footage and things like, well, attempted dash cam footage and failed. But got the car to the shop, put it up on the lift, started fixing the cross member stuff. So the cross member's solid. Drive shaft pinion angle seems to be working okay so far. Rear end is super bouncy. It's basically a rigid. What happened is when you put the car up on the lift, I tried putting a jack underneath the rear end to support it while I took off the shock pressure. It's just to verify. They're cheapo, like bottom of the barrel Rock Auto shocks. I think they're like 9 or 12, maybe 18 bucks a piece, at most 20 bucks a piece. Tried running those. Thought the shocks might be bad. That first one that I had, the thread stripped out the first time I put them on. Not the best, but I got the same one to replace it. I got a better set of shocks now. What happened was, with the shackles and the Mustang springs to make it work, I needed to get longer shocks. So I ordered another set of stock length shocks. I'm gonna run, go ahead and yell at me. If it's a terrible idea you used and they had some sort of catastrophic failure, please let me know. But they do sell shock extensions. The standard shock is 3/8 by 24 thread. Essentially, it's just a steel extension for that will essentially just lengthen the lower half of the shock so your rubber bushings can actually fit to the plate. That's really all I need to correct that. Then I should actually have working shocks. The ones that are on there now, I got them to work. Somehow it went together surprisingly smooth in the driveway, but when I had it up on the lift, I couldn't even get it close to compressing enough to get the shock to bolt on. Basically, what it's doing is the shock is absolutely maxed out at its highest extension point. So it is as long as possible. And the shock plate is actually, when I get it all nut and bolted down, it's preloading the leaf springs. So it's got constant tension on the leaf springs. And the leaf springs want the car to sit taller than it is. So if you saw the driving video, it will now sit a little bit higher on the rear. Also, if I have the shock extensions, I have the option to use I got 3 adjustability settings on the shackles. So that might actually help with that too. So that's where we're left off on that one. I got the exhaust video where I have half of them hooked up. I didn't finish the driver's side, or the passenger. I finished the driver's side. The pipe was sitting, the pipe was sitting underneath the car, kind of straight down. I had about 5, 6, 8 inches of ground clearance. Not ideal for driving, but it worked. Didn't scrape anything, even with the Grand Canyon of my driveway. Didn't scrape anything there, which was cool. But then I got the driver's side one, and the angles on the driver's side actually sat a little bit farther down, which was way too, the other one was the driver's side was too close. Passenger side was definitely guaranteed to scrape. Don't need to just ruin those. So I added another 15-degree bend on the driver's side from the last time. Also waiting on the muffler. The shop said they sent it. They didn't get it by the end of the day, so I was waiting on that all day. Never showed up. And then I called, and the main parts guy was in, and he said that they have no record that I even ordered it. So whoever was working that day definitely dropped the ball. However, I got the muffler today, 2 days later. Got that put back together. I didn't film anything because I was scrambling. I got a bunch of choring to do today. I only had about 45 minutes. So I have both mufflers on now. I tweaked the driver's side. If you're looking down the center of the car, they are nowhere near straight. The driver's side, or passenger side, is actually sitting pretty level. You'll see this in the next day or two. But the passenger side sitting pretty level. Driver's side, I'm sitting here underneath the car trying to cut and line up angles, which is extremely, extremely difficult to do underneath the car. Even though it's on a lift, it's way easier to work. However, getting straight cuts and everything's welded, and it was just a mess. Not the ideal way to do it. Again, temporary. I just need something with mufflers on it that I can drive back and forth while I diagnose and tune the trans and get the carb dialed. I do have a Holley 650 carb that I think I'm probably going to swap onto there. Also waiting on the TV cable. I was having a bunch of problems trying to get the line pressure set right. Readjusted it 3 or 4 times. Will be able to get it cold or warm to hold 28 psi at idle with the spacer block in there like it's supposed to. Got the gauge hooked up and working. 28 pounds at idle in neutral, not park. 38 pounds in neutral with the spacer block in. Pull it. Return springs hooked up. Pressure drops back down to 0 like it's supposed to. Then I go for a test drive, and first couple laps, line pressure is good, goes up increasingly with the throttle. One good pull, now hit the throttle light cruise, and I pretty much lose all pressure. I'm down to like 10, 12, 15, unless I punch it. If I dead punch it, it works great. I don't know if that showed up in one of the videos, but I've been messing around, kind of less pressure, more pressure. Ran into a bunch of the issues of trying to dial in the TV cable pressures. If I have it set one way, it shifts fine down low, but it starts slipping up top, which is not what you want. You will burn up an AOD that way. So again, I got a 3-minute drive. As soon as that happened, I pretty much just let off and coasted as far as I could before I had to hit the throttle. Or you go full throttle and then it grabs fine. The other alternative is pressure set too high, and first gear revs out to like 4,800 or something stupid, which is way higher than I want it to. Been noodling around with that. If I go from a dead stop and punch the thing, it spins the tire all the way through first. Will hard shift, chirp the tires in second. So power-wise, I'm super stoked. I'm really excited about it. Just a matter of getting everything else dialed in. So that's a quick update. I'm waiting on the carburetor adapter bracket for the Edelbrock. I also ordered one for a Holley just in case I end up going that route. So I will have 2 adapter brackets coming. I'm waiting for the stock shock extensions, which should be here. Today's Wednesday. They should all be here tomorrow or Friday at the latest. The only concern that I have right now is I got a wedding to go to Friday, so I got no time to wrench on that. Saturday will probably be a very rough morning, and we'll be down in Chicago, which I love. But when we get back, I might have some time to tinker around on Sunday, depending on how the weather is. But that's a quick little update. Shock extension. Oh, the battery died too. Alternator was working fine here. When I flip-flopped the wiring, I found another voltage regulator in the trunk. I hooked that up, mounted it to the front driver firewall. That did not actually work. I had the voltmeter hooked up and it was low, but I assumed it was low because all I've really been doing is jumping out in the morning, starting the car, letting it idle. It hasn't had any drive time. Voltmeter gauge was consistently at 10 to 12. When I hooked up the new regulator, I didn't even think about it, in all honesty. I saw the gauge, said it was at 8. I assumed it's just from starting it over and over and over again. Not the case. Tried starting it the other day at the shop up on the lift, and it went and died out. So got that on a battery charger, so I'm really dead in the water until Thursday. Hopefully I get some of these parts tomorrow so I can noodle around with that a little bit more. Charge up the battery Friday night, Saturday, make sure that's got a nice full charge on it. Double check and verify some of the alternator wiring and things like that. Make sure I didn't mess something up. I think it's just a bad regulator. It looked brand new, but it's been sitting in the trunk of that car for God knows how long. That is where we are at now. Hopefully, if all goes as planned, I will have all the parts by the weekend, and I should be able to have a couple hours to get that out of the shop. Get those parts back together, try and get that rear end a little softer so it's not, knocking me in the kid. I ride hardtail choppers. That truck, or that Falcon, makes the hardtail choppers feel like a nice smooth ride. That's how stiff it is. But hopefully we can get all of that sorted by this weekend. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. I know we're rolling on that 250 mark, so I appreciate it. I appreciate the comments, the feedback, all the input. Keeps me motivated. Thank you. We'll catch you guys later.